My name is Marcus, and this happened during the fall semester of my senior year. I had finally moved into what I thought was going to be my dream apartment, an old brick building in the city, not far from campus. It was technically a studio, but the ceilings were high, the windows were wide, and it had that pre-war charm I always admired in photos online. Best of all, it was cheap, almost suspiciously cheap, but I wasn't in a position to ask too many questions. The building was quiet, mostly filled with working professionals and older tenants who kept to themselves. The first few weeks were uneventful. I'd come home from class, microwave something cheap, maybe read or work on a paper. I actually liked the quiet. It made the place feel like a retreat. Then I started noticing weird little things. It began with my front door. Every so often I'd come home and find it just slightly open. Not wide, not ajar, just unlatched. I assumed I hadn't pulled it shut all the way. The first time it happened, I chalked it up to being in a rush. The second time, I blamed the drafty hallway. By the third time, I started double and triple checking it. I even bought a wedge to stick under the door when I was inside. It still opened once. I asked the landlord to change the lock. He did, but reluctantly, said it was probably nothing. He looked uncomfortable the entire time he was in my apartment, and not in a fixing stuff is annoying way. More like he didn't want to be there. Then came the night I met the woman from 3B. It was around midnight. I'd just finished a late study session and was climbing the stairs when I saw her standing at the end of the hall, barefoot, wearing this loose white t-shirt and pajama pants. Her hair was wet, and she looked like she'd just stepped out of the shower. She didn't say anything, just stared. "Hey," I said, a little nervously. "Everything okay?" She didn't respond. Instead, she tilted her head like a confused dog and then slipped into her apartment without a word. The door closed behind her with a soft click. I told myself she was just tired, maybe on something, or just weird. It wasn't my business, but that blank, heavy stare stuck with me. After that, I started hearing noises from her apartment at odd hours. Not music, not talking, not even footsteps. It was this slow, dragging sound, like something being scraped across the floor, followed by long silences. Sometimes I'd hear a knock, not on my door, but from her side of the wall, like she was gently tapping, waiting for someone to answer. Always 3 slow knocks. Then there was the scratching. It began one night while I was trying to sleep. A soft scratch, scratch, scratch coming from inside my closet. At first I thought it was a mouse or something, but when I opened the door, there was nothing. The sound stopped the moment I got close. This happened 2 more times before I got paranoid enough to leave my phone recording overnight. The next morning, I listened back. At 2:46 a.m., I heard it clearly. 3 slow knocks. Not from the closet, from the wall. The same wall that connected to 3B. The same day, I ran into my upstairs neighbor while getting the mail. Her name was Kathy, mid-30s, and the kind of person who always had earbuds in and kept conversation short. But when I asked about 3B, she paused. "She's still there?" Kathy asked, eyes narrowing. I told her I'd seen her, maybe a week ago. Kathy just nodded, gave me a tight smile, and walked away without saying another word. I couldn't stop thinking about it. That night, I waited. I sat in the dark with my lamp off, staring at the wall between our apartments. At exactly 3:11 a.m., I heard it again. 3 knocks. Then a whisper, so soft I thought I was imagining it. "Can I come in?" I stood up and pressed my ear to the wall. Nothing. I decided to knock back, just once. The moment I did, a loud crash came from her apartment, like furniture being thrown. I jumped back. The noise stopped instantly. Then, silence. The next morning, I went down to speak to the landlord again. When I mentioned 3B, he looked visibly disturbed. "Marcus," he said carefully, "there's no one living in that unit." I told him I'd seen her, talked to her, heard her. He shook his head. 3B's been empty since June. The last tenant... Look, I shouldn't be saying this, but she had problems. Said someone was living in her walls. Said he was waiting. We tried to get her help, but she left in the middle of the night. Never came back. I must have looked pale because he offered to come upstairs with me to check things out. We opened the door to 3B together. The place was covered in dust, a thick layer on everything. No signs of life, no furniture, not even a shower curtain. And yet, when I walked into the bedroom, I saw 3 small dents on the shared wall between our apartments. 3 shallow impressions, right at ear level. That night, I slept with all the lights on. I didn't hear anything. No knocks, no whispers. But when I woke up, my door was wide open, and on my closet mirror, written in what looked like finger grease, were the words, "You let me in."